right, hey, this is the PTSD Chaplain with you, Director of MASH, which stands for Mobile Assistance for Servicemen and Women at Home. We have here right now Pastor Ben Gonzalez. He is a pastor up in Michigan. I know we can talk about, I know in the past I had a doctor on that talked to us about COVID-19. And we could talk about what we may think it feels like and what it may feel like to go through it. Here's someone that actually knows what it's like to have it. Pastor Ben Gonzalez had COVID-19, and now he's on the other side. Now, Pastor, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, thanks, Paul, for having me on here. I appreciate that, and your ministry, what you guys are doing. But yeah, it's hard to believe it's already the end of April, but back in the middle of March is when I first started seeing some symptoms. And of course, as a pastor of a church, you got to be extra cautious. And so I think on May 15th, in our state, the executive order was no more than 250 people in a service. And so our church is about 150 or so. And so March 15th, we had service. We had a bunch of hand sanitizer. We had everything normal, and everyone was good. When I started getting symptoms, it was I was like something's going on here. When I first started, feeling not myself, not well. So it was probably about the middle of March 16th, I think, which was a Monday. And then, yeah, throughout the week, it just got worse. And Tuesday, they actually canceled all in-person meetings. So we canceled church at that time, and we went totally online. And yeah, the rest of that week, I was just really struggling, just body aches and just confined to bed. I couldn't taste or smell. Didn't really have a cough, but more so body aches, a temperature, and then transitioning. Went through that week, and then Saturday I was okay, and then Sunday, the 22nd, my breathing was really labored. I was like, okay, is this going to get worse, or is this? I didn't know what to do. So I'm laying there. This is Sunday night. You don't think about yourself then. I thought about the family. Of course, I think worst case scenario. What's going to happen to me if I can't wake up in the middle of the night and it's worse. So that's when I told her, like, you should take him to the hospital. So she brought me into the hospital. She couldn't come in, so she had to really just drop me off. So went in, and I was in there for 3 days. They didn't put me on oxygen. I wasn't on a ventilator. Yeah, very, very different time for me, because as a pastor, I'm usually the one going into hospitals, visiting people and praying with them and reading of scripture and encouraging them. But this time I was on the other end of that. So yeah, that's what I went through.
So when you first found out that you had COVID-19, I don't know if the fear was there because the news really made it sound like it was a death.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So when you first found it, because I know you have 3 kids.
Yeah.
I know you were saying you have a senior in high school, a daughter that's in senior in high school, one and then a boy that's in junior, and then a 7th grader.
Yep.
What was going through your mind fear-wise? I don't know if you had fear in your mind when they told you had COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, so as a whole other aside to this, our church got hit pretty significantly. I've been telling folks up here about, and I'm trying not to exaggerate, but probably 60% to 2/3 were diagnosed, had 4 in the hospital, 1 pass away, a lot at home sick, and so we really were I hate to say we were an epicenter, but we were a place where a lot was going on. The moment I resolved that, I probably have this was when two people from our church who I know very well were diagnosed, and they have the same symptoms as me, and I sort of said, okay, I have it, and so I did, but I didn't officially find out until I think either Monday or Tuesday at the hospital. So finally they tested for it, and so when the nurse came in to tell me that I had it, she was very somber. She was very, almost apologetic. I hate to tell you, but it's funny how the Lord worked it out. I like food. I'm a foodie, and so hospital food's not the best. So this is crazy how this happened. I was so hungry, and I didn't care for the hospital food, and so I was craving some Chinese, and so I went on my board in the room, like the patient board, and I wrote some things about craving, my chicken, my honey garlic chicken from my Chinese restaurant, and so I'm sitting there, and I wrote, patient needs honey garlic chicken from Chinese restaurant, and so I was just walking around the room. No one's in my room. I'm just walking around my room, and I sit down, and I'm like, oh man, I was so hungry. I was craving good food. I didn't really down. I was just sort of over being there. And the nurse came in and told me, she said, one of your church members tried to bring you food, which I was super, and then she said, but they're not allowed in. And I was like, oh. And then she said, but someone from the hospital down in security is going to pay for you to get a Subway sub. So when she told me that, I was over the moon. And then when she said, and then secondly, you were diagnosed with, your test did come back positive for COVID-19. And I was already in tears because of the food, believe it or not. I was so happy I was getting the Subway sub. I'm not saying this because I'm a brave person, but I wasn't afraid. And I think, of course, as a believer, I think that's the peace that Christ gave me. But the times that I got a little nervous was when I wouldn't watch much news, but when I heard of people my age and my stage of life who died from it, it would sort of take me back. Like for a few seconds, I'd be like, oh man, this is, something to, it's something to, concern myself about. But I read a lot of scripture and sung a lot of songs. And I just had the peace. When scripture talks about the peace that passes understanding, it's about a peace that cannot be explained with earthly means. I was happy that I finally had an answer. Because if I was that sick and it wasn't COVID-19, I'd be more fearful, really. So yeah, I just Lord gave me peace, and I enjoyed that sub and chips that night. That was really good. There in the hospital.
Was there a specific passage that gave you the most peace through this?
Yeah, there was a couple. Isaiah 41:10, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Do not be dismayed, I am your God. That passage was a real encouragement to me. And then in the book of Isaiah, we're encouraged we're reminded that we have a God who is there, and that was a real encouragement to me. And then Psalm 3 was man, that was just I just kept. There's a song too. I'm a music guy. There's a choir song called "Thou, O Lord," and it just really talks about the fact that everything in the world could go wrong, but Thou, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory and the lifter up of my soul. And talks about when I lay down, the whole reason I get up is because of you. And so that was a really encouragement to me during that time. And I just knew that I was in God's hands. And
well, now that you're on the other end of it, when they finally told you that you are free to go home, and that you've gone through that, well, you're immune to it, I guess now.
Yeah.
What type of excitement? I mean, did you have a feeling of excitement, or what did you feel like when you were able to leave the hospital?
Well, I mean, when I that night, Sunday night to Monday, actually Sunday and Monday were probably my lowest days as far as health wise. But come Tuesday, I mean, actually Tuesday when she told me, I was feeling actually a little better. And then Wednesday, I went home Wednesday afternoon or evening. You know, I just slowly got better. When I left the hospital, they said, you got to stay in quarantine for 14 days. And I'm like, what? I think I'm getting better. And then the health department called me Friday and said, if you're 3 days with no symptoms, then you're good to, you know, be back out again. So I counted that Friday as my first day of no symptoms. But I started to feel better. And now, honestly, right now, I mean, I feel great right now. My only, I say, problem, and I don't know if it's a spiritual problem or not, but I feel so good that all these new executive orders and rules and things coming down from government, I feel I'm totally on the other end of it. So that's sort of I guess you could almost say a challenge for me now, because those who, you know, have followed this, maybe their fear is heightened now, but my fear is really non-existent anymore. So I got to sort of navigate through that and still show grace and show love and show understanding to those who still may be, you know, fearful or different things. So,
have you been able to be an encouragement because obviously you said that 60-something% of the members in your congregation. So I'm assuming you're having to go and talk to those people. Have you been able to be an encouragement to them, seeing that you're on the other end?
Yeah, the crazy thing about this is myself and 2 other guys from church had it pretty early on. And so I think it was neat that the Lord allowed me to go through it first and then get well enough to shepherd them when they went through it. Just being able to be there for all that. Had I not gone through it when I did, I wouldn't have been able to be there for our people, you know, when they needed it. So.
We're time that right.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Part of what my hope is for this video is those that are watching, oftentimes when we go through something, it's not necessarily for us. For when we get to the other side, we're able to be a blessing to those that are around us, like Pastor Ben has been to those around him as well.
Yeah. The cool thing is, Paul, I add this too. We've had a lot of folks from the community and just outside see how we're handling this. It's really brought a spotlight onto our church a little bit, and so we're trying to be cautious. Again, it's just so cool how God used this trial in my life and in the church, and how He used it and is using it for His good, and people can know that we have hope, and it's just a neat thing to be a part of.
Thank you, Pastor Ben.
Yeah.
For being on, and we're praying for you and your church as you guys go through this. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, appreciate it.